All right, big question for today in our new episode of Real Talk and Hot Takes. Does God hear the prayers of atheists? Do you need a candle to pray? Are you one of those? Like, are you? You're
It
a
has
meditator.
essence of charcoal and teak wood with notes of lavender.
He is a candle guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
is that really what it is, or did you just make that up?
No, I read it on the label.
It is on the label. All right, so there are those who believe in God, may or may not be Christian. They believe in God. There are those who don't believe in God, or at least even may claim that there is no God. That's an atheist. I know that's, if you're watching and you're an atheist, that's a very overgeneralization of what an atheist is. But hey, these are short episodes, so we kind of have to play in the stereotypes a little bit. And it's Real Talk and Hot Takes.
The hottest take.
So we are walking through our covenant as a church: worship, grow, serve, give. Now we're talking about prayer. That's the fifth part of our 7-part covenant, is that we would pray together. So we as believers obviously believe that we need to have this ongoing conversation with God. That's what prayer is, an ongoing conversation with God. I have with me Devon. He's our outreach pastor. Jordan's back. He is our worship pastor. You definitely need to go watch the last episode if you didn't get a chance, about Independence Day.
Oh, yeah.
So many hot takes.
So tune into
The
that.
hottest take.
Yeah, a lot of hot takes on that one. All right, Devon. You have said that you, at one point in your life, you didn't believe in God.
I wouldn't say I did. I
Well,
was just one of those guys that, just like
You
every
didn't
other
live it.
atheist, they believe. Do not really truly believe.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
I'll go
Yeah.
there. I'll go there.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as an atheist. I'll just say it.
Yeah, I believe
I think
that.
deep
There have
down,
been very few people I've met that are truly like,
Truly.
I guarantee you there is no God. Most are agnostic to some degree.
Yeah,
it takes more faith not to believe in God than it does to believe in
I
God.
believe that. Yeah.
But that's just my hot take.
So hot.
Do you think when an atheist prays, let's assume this is a legit atheist, does God hear that prayer?
I'm not God, so I don't
Thanks
know
for
for sure.
thanks for clarifying
I know
that.
the Bible says the prayers of the righteous availeth much. In that regards, I would say if God didn't hear the prayer of an atheist, I believe He didn't hear my prayers when I was, when I was saying I didn't believe in Him and all of those different things. From my own experience, I believe God did hear those prayers. I believe He answered those prayers. So even in the midst of us saying, well, maybe He doesn't hear the prayers of an atheist, we both just said, we don't really believe anyone's truly an atheist, right? If you're praying to God,
Are you an atheist?
are you an atheist?
Well, that does get us to that's the right question.
Right.
About the question
Right.
is, why are we asking the question about atheists? Why would they be
Because
praying?
you wrote the title.
I know I did. It's a hook. It's YouTube. You kind of have to have a hook, otherwise
Yeah,
no one
that's true.
I'm hooked.
listens or
True.
pays attention. Jordan, why would an atheist pray?
Because they're desperate. They're reaching out. I think the human heart reaches out. So when we ask, like, does God hear the prayer of so-and-so or so-and-so? Biblically, I don't think there's anything that says that He doesn't hear the prayer of somebody who's estranged. What He doesn't hear, or what He doesn't pay attention to, what He doesn't deliver on, is the person who is close to God and intentionally living in sin. I was just reading that in Isaiah. It's like, I'm not hearing you because you have distanced yourself
Yeah,
from
you
me
give
through
lip
your
service
evil.
to me.
Yeah. Which is far scarier.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think empty prayers from Christians are worse than desperate prayers from atheists.
Yeah.
The desperate prayer from an atheist is that longing, that yearning, maybe misguided.
Mhm.
Let's just admit that may be misguided, but it's that longing and yearning for God. Whereas, the perfunctory prayers of a Christian, that's almost an affront to God. It's disobedience.
Yeah, because when we're talking about God hearing, like, none of us would think that God's, like, unaware.
Right.
That somebody's, like, reaching out. So the question is like God's attentiveness to it, God's responsiveness within the prayer.
I think that's the key. Is it's not that God doesn't hear; it's how He responds.
Right.
I think God hears all. I
Well,
think
and
He knows all.
I've often wondered, and again, like, I feel like this discussion is pretty subjective because it's like we don't have like some ironclad scripture that we can go to answer this one. But is God obligated to be responsive to a person who's kind of blasé about their engagement of him? Like, does he and I think we actually do have scriptures where he reveals secrets to those who really press into him.
To Christians, for sure. Specifically in not being forgiven, not having forgiveness. It literally says we got to forgive so that God can hear our prayers. So that we will be forgiven.
Or be right with our spouses.
Be right with our spouses. So many different things that, literally that, but it's never specific to those who say they don't believe.
Well, in fact, you have like this, I think it's in Psalms, like taste and see that the Lord is good. It kind of implying you haven't tasted yet. So reach out, give it a test and see. I think he's incredibly responsive to people who are open and reaching out.
Devon, where do you pray? Where's your main, like, what does that look like in your life? What is the prayer?
I'm one of those people that prays when they say pray without ceasing. I'm one of those guys. Like, I can be riding in the car praying. Now, if I have a specific time of prayer, my wife and I actually have a place in our closet, literally, where we're able to shut the door and get away. We have like a nice little rug and chairs and places where we can write down our prayers and stuff.
You're
when we
so
come
spiritual.
Together. No, not at all. Not at all. No.
I feel terrible. Why am I in this conversation right now?
That is a household of noise and chaos, and I need a place where I can go and be away, right? I'm just trying to be intentional about it. That's all it is. And the reason I'm more intentional is because I'm not as spiritual as I think I am. So I need to have an intentional place where I got to walk by and look at it and say, oh, I need to go bend my knee there, right? Like, it's right there for me. So, but I'm consistently praying all the time, especially driving here.
I love the visual aspect of prayer life there. You see the place, you're supposed to be there. You shut the door, it's darker. There's a lot of prayers accompanied with a lot of sensory sort of mechanisms there. Do you like candles? Is that your thing?
I like candles.
The sense of smell?
Honestly, yes. Like
I'm not surprised.
It really does smell good. No, and I'll admit, like, I am not as consistent as I wish I was and probably pretend to be, but my favorite thing to do is to wake up first thing and hit my knees. Now, I don't think me being on my knees makes God hear me anymore. Right. It's purely for my benefit. It's to try to block away the noise. It's a step of physically honoring the King. And I will light the candle. I don't know what a candle does. I think it's maybe because there's something in our brain that, like, as we look at a fire, like, because the pattern's not replicable, it just causes us to be mesmerized by it. And I do think that there is something about focusing on God who is spirit, that when we block out the physical and focus on him, I personally, like, when I'm in the car, when I'm praying or with a candle or whatnot, I feel like I hear God better. And sometimes I wonder, is that like my own voice? Am I hearing God? Is it kind of like a bit of both? I don't know, but I love it and I miss it when I don't have it.
It feels like everybody has that different. Mine is like the water. Like, when I'm by the water or near the ocean and I pray, I feel like it's just for me. So you got water, fire, right? Like,
some of those very basic
certain elements.
Yeah, you guys are far superior than to me, because it's me and the road.
Well, when you're running 200 miles because you're a gazelle.
Well,
I'd be praying too. Like, if I was running.
Be like, please let my cartilage hold up.
I enjoy running. No earbuds, no nothing. And it's just me, the road, and God. That's it. But candles and closets, no, I don't have any of that.
I'd like to think God is nowhere near that running.
My wife lights candles and says a prayer, but it's usually after I've been in the bathroom. I don't know if that has anything to do with spirituality, but
that's pray without ceasing, bro.
Yeah, I need it.
Okay, kind of going back to, like, God revealing himself and revealing secrets to those who press in. So what do you do if somebody has kind of a super relaxed devotional life and it's just kind of lip service, and they believe, but should they expect to feel God kind of far away?
Yeah. One, there is benefit to the discipline of a regular rhythm of prayer and devotion. So if you're one of those and it's like, man, half the time I'm just kind of going through the motions, and half the time I think I might be doing better and actually feeling something from God, I'd say you're not in a bad place. Like you don't get the highs every time.
Right.
It's back to this idea of exercise. Spiritual disciplines are like exercise. Sometimes you work out, you don't feel like you got much out of it, or maybe you're not feeling well, and you just kind of did it. Well, there's benefit in that.
That's kind of like in our marriages. Like,
Yeah.
is every day blissful? No, but just stick with it. Keep going.
I think in our prayer life and our devotional time and really exercising all of the spiritual disciplines, there's a lot of ordinary.
Mm-hmm. There's more ordinary than not.
And there's good in the ordinary.
There is. Yeah. There is. There's good in the discipline. There's good in the ordinary. And I think God works through that. The goal is to not allow it to become rote, ritual, and where it's just always just something that you just do.
There can be a danger in it too. I know for myself where you can become a person that says, I got this, like I'm doing this, and you're like,
see how spiritual I am,
right,
God? I'm so humble.
I'm praying every single day, and I found even for myself personally that some of the times where I thought God was furthest away, he was closer than I could ever imagine, versus me saying, I got this, I'm here, I'm there, and I'm like, I'm just going through the motions.
What would you guys say to somebody? It's like, okay, that sounds great, guys. You're all three pastors, but I'm working my job. I'm busy. My kids are crazy. Like,
that doesn't. We're still all there.
You just described my life.
Our lives.
I know, but on the other side of the screen,
Right.
They might be saying, how do I move in a devotional direction towards God? It seems so nebulous. What do I do?
Oh, that's easy. It's simple. God is not difficult. It's not
Wow,
hard.
that's
It's
good.
literally talking to him no
God
different
is
than we're
not
talking
difficult.
to each other. It's a simple, like you said, you wake up in the morning. Thank you, God, for waking me up.
Yeah.
Start there.
Thanks for my
Thanks for
2013
Right.
Elantra.
Oh, we
It
have
gets
plenty
me
to pray for.
Yeah.
Like it's like driving the roads of Florida.
That'll increase your prayer
If
life,
that
yeah.
doesn't, I'm sure atheists have yelled, "Oh God," many of times. Trust me. Like,
All right. So let's land the plane. Let's conclude with this. Let's assume there's an atheist watching. Maybe there is. They saw the SEO algorithm put them here. What would you tell an atheist that's watching this, Devon?
Hot take.
He said your name first.
Hot take. I believe if an atheist is watching this, they already have a desire and they're searching for something. And ultimately, I would say that they're probably already feeling God's tug on them. It's just to accept it and to submit, give up their will.
That's good.
Basically, just to accept it and give up the will. And then the one thing I always say to most people is, you've tried everything, right? Like, you've got people who've tried drugs, tried all of these different things. God says, taste and see, right? Try me now in this. Like, try God and put him to the test. I don't think he has a problem with that at all. So if you doubt him, give him a try.
Yeah.
And I'd probably take just a different side of that same coin, which is I respect the fact that you're not going to be duped by what people tell you God is like, including us. Like, God is not affected one way or the other by how we represent him or by how he's been represented in your life. So God is God regardless. And I would also say, just from a scientific perspective, keep pushing back. Keep pushing back. Eventually, something's got to come first. And I think that we're all in the same situation here. We're forced back to a certain point. Whatever you believe is true about how the universe got started, there comes a point at which we can see no further back. And then it's a faith decision, whether there's a metaphysical explanation or everything came from nothing. And I think, going back to what you said at the beginning, it takes more faith to believe that it all came from true nothing than to believe that there's an engine at the start of the train. And again, don't let how humans have poorly represented God affect your pursuit of God. I believe that he's better than we think.
Yeah, I'd say I'm really surprised you made it this far in the video.
Congratulations.
But I'm glad you're here.
The takes were hot.
Indeed. Well, we've got an episode coming up next week on denominations. we're part of one, at least at the time.
Are we?
At the time of this recording, they haven't kicked us out yet, so we'll see. But I've got a great episode, so tune in then. Light a candle, visit the restroom, and say a prayer.
Not necessarily in that order.
We'll see you in the next episode.